April 15th is just around the corner, and while most Americans are scrambling to file their tax returns, my next guest has a solution that would turn tax day into just another beautiful spring day. You've probably heard me talk about the fair tax before, and you know I am a big proponent of it. Well, here to explain a little more what it is and how it works, National Director of Fairtax.org and Americans for Fair Taxation, Ken Hoagland. Ken, it's good to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
It is not hard to pull my rope and get my motor going about the fair tax. Why is this a better way of getting revenue for the government than what we have now?
Well, as you know perfectly well, the income tax system is very good for people inside Washington, D.C., and very bad for our national economy and bedevils every single taxpayer. The fair tax is simple, transparent, and fair. It raises the same amount of revenue now raised under the income tax system, but in a manner that doesn't damage our economy.
It's a sales tax, basically.
It's a national consumption tax at the point of final retail sale. You pay your tax at the cash register. It shifts our federal tax system from taking taxes out of what makes the economy healthy, work, savings, and investment, to what comes out of the economy, consumption. The experts, and there's been $22 million of research, say, oh, well, when you make the United States the only nation that doesn't tax manufacturing and labor, we're going to see somewhere between $10 and $15 trillion now offshore in private investment come rushing into our country. Now, everyone in Michigan and around the country who is searching for a job and wondering what happened to the American dream, this is the shortest path to create jobs in the United States. But it's not that good for the political class in Washington, D.C. So it really comes down to, can we repair the country with a better tax system that will allow our economy to grow, or is it more important that people inside the Beltway in Washington continue to profit off of a corrupted income tax system?
You've got a brand new book called The Fair Tax Solution, Financial Justice for All Americans. Interesting title, Financial Justice. So how does your book tell me that the fair tax is about justice and not just money and taxes?
Well, right now, the income tax system basically rewards those who hide their income and who get special breaks out of Congress. Congress is selling off 2 or 3 tax breaks a day, makes congressmen very powerful, makes lobbyists very wealthy, $1.5 billion on lobbying every year just on the tax code. But illegal immigrants, for example, don't pay federal taxes. When you go to a consumption tax, every illegal immigrant becomes a taxpayer as a consumer. All of the fat cat loopholes slam shut, and wealth is taxed when you spend it. In essence, the more you spend, the higher tax you pay, with a special, as you know, element of this that makes it far more progressive than the income tax system. We're going to eliminate the FICA tax, which is highly regressive and holds the poor down. We're going to have a much, much broader tax base. $1.5 trillion in the underground economy, Governor, as you know, becomes part of the tax base, so all of us can spend a little bit less on our share of taxes. And very importantly, what you earn belongs to you first. Right now, taxes are withheld from our paychecks. We get what's left over. That's backwards. The fruits of our labor should belong first to us, and then we should pay our taxes. And the fair tax allows you to take home everything that you earn.
And you pay it when you buy something, not when you earn it, so you're not penalized for your productivity. I want to ask you just in rapid fire a couple of few questions here. What happens to the IRS?
The IRS goes away.
What happens to capital gains tax?
That goes away.
What happens to individual income tax?
That goes away.
What happens to taxes on investment?
Eliminated.
What happens to taxes on our savings?
Eliminated.
What happens to the inheritance tax?
That goes away.
What happens to our pocketbooks?
They get much fatter, and we permanently stimulate our economy by putting more money in people's pockets.
You know, Ken, I was sold on it after I read some information on the Fair Tax book back in the campaign of 2008. I became a strong advocate. I still am, will continue to be. Very quickly, there is a rally, a tax rally coming up in April, and the fair taxers across America will be a part of that.
fair taxers, flat taxers, Reagan tax cutters in his legacy are being led to Washington, D.C. on something very unique, Governor. It is the online tax revolt, and it's at onlinetaxrevolt.com. For everyone who is working too hard to travel to Washington, they know in their heart that something's gone terribly wrong with our government. But they're raising their kids. They're putting food on the table. They're unemployed. It's just too much. You go to onlinetaxrevolt.com, you pick an avatar, a graphic representation of yourself that then marches to Washington, D.C. Right now it's in the hundreds of thousands. And then those avatars join with an 80, 90, 100,000, 200,000 people who have traveled to Washington. This is how we finally say to Washington, we want our government back, we want our country back.
Well, I'm going to be a part of it, and I hope that you will get a copy of The Fair Tax Solution by Ken Hoagland. By the way, all the members of our audience will be getting a copy of The Fair Tax Solution.